Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Sims 4. Welcome back to another speed build. Today we're finally looking at the witch's cottage. That was supposed to be my Halloween build and I had to punt because I couldn't figure out the roof. I think I cut out most of the roof, but I did leave it enough that you could kind of see the struggles because I would love to have your take on this roof because some people are so talented with roofs and I am not one of those people and I could not figure it out and I could not figure out how to do everything I wanted to do. But do you see how big the roof is? I was convinced you could fit in upstairs in here and I couldn't figure out how to do it the way I had hoped, but there is a little upstairs which I think makes sense. There's like a little attic-y room. It's not perfect. It's not going to be, but we did finally get there in the end. But this is the build now that oof, Lord. Like, okay, I started this build, I think I started talking about it in August, I think, and I started building it in September. I got brave, and I had so many plans with this build, and it did not turn out the way I had in my head, which kind of makes me want to try this again, but do it different. But the build did turn out cute. It just morphed. It told me what it wanted to be finally. It took its own sweet time trying to figure it out. But my goodness, originally it was going to be orange and it was going to be very fall. That's why the fall trees are behind, even though we're deep into winter already. And I had all these plans and not a single one came to fruition, but I really like how this house turned out. It just took a really long time to get there. And the reason I keep kind of harping on this is just because I'm recording this voiceover January 6th. And yeah, like I said, I started thinking about and planning this build in August. So that's why I say sometimes people I'll freak out. I'll be like, I'm running behind on builds, and my brother who gets to hear me complain about this a lot is like, don't you have 3 in the works? And I'm like, yeah, but if they're all like this, this is a problem. I start getting worried because I'm a very slow builder as it is, and when a build takes its own sweet time to come together, I start having issues. So here you can see I was trying to figure out if I could get rooms specifically built in. If I was going to do this again, I think what I would do is I would maybe build the upstairs rooms first and then do the roofing, thinking about it now, because then I wouldn't get attached to the roofs first, because unfortunately I came up with a roof design I liked first, and then I decided, I need to put a room upstairs, and they didn't coalesce very well. We do end up with a really cute room upstairs. We end up with a little bedroom upstairs. It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom. It's actually quite spacious inside, which is really exciting because it is all basically one room. It is a dining room, cauldron room, kitchen, living, and office all downstairs. And then the upstairs is the bedroom, and then there is a little bathroom that is off to the back, which I think is really cute. And I'm really excited about it because everything is covered in plants. It is like a forest witch's cottage. And that also wasn't the plan. I knew I had wanted a lot of trees and stuff, but I was planning a little bit more. I was always thinking forest witch, but I was thinking more cozy, almost, I'm trying to think about how to describe this, almost hobbity. I was thinking almost hobbity was going to be the vibe. Here you can see I was trying to get it not to be a bedroom, but to get it to be a bed, loft. That was the original idea, because I sort of liked the idea of I was almost trying to mimic the idea of a dollhouse, but with a full house. It ended up, the roofs, dude, I struggled. That's all you need to know with this. It's just, it was a struggle, and it just finally ended up not being worth it because I was struggling with the overhangs of the roofs no matter what I did, and then the bits stuck out, and it was just a problem. So it ends up being a room on its own, and actually I really love the way it turns out. And the change in this is sort of what precipitated the change in tone, because I was like, well, if we're thinking a little bit more closed off and dark and cozy, then maybe instead of hobbit hole, because those are usually very warm tones and very, in my head, they're dark and cozy but light and cozy. They're light academia, I guess. That's not accurate, but you kind of know what I mean. Whereas I was this room really feels or the space is starting to really feel like it needs to be darker and cozier. And then I was as oxymoronic as this sounds, that's not quite contradictory as it sounds. I was plants need to happen in here because plants will simultaneously lighten and darken the space. And I was I still want it to be a happy place to be, a happy place with your sim, but I was I want it to feel very smooshed in and closed in, but without being I hate being in here, or I'm about to get eaten, maybe your witch does eat people, maybe Hansel and Gretel style. I'm not playing in a Grimm fairy tale, so my witch just likes horticulture. And we do put a little side garden out where she can garden, and I believe, if I recalled, it's been a minute since I've done the outside now. I can't remember if I thought about chickens or I actually put chickens in. I believe I actually put chickens in. So she has chickens and a little gardeny space and just like full of cozy. Oh, and I believe I put in the wishing well as well. I didn't mean to do that. And that's really cool because that has some interesting gameplay features. That's from the Romantic Garden Stuff pack. And it has some really interesting features because you can wish for things like money or love, and sometimes it sort of kind of gives you those things, and sometimes it sort of monkey paws you a little bit where it's like, well, and sometimes it's just straight up rude. And then you'll be like, hey, wishing well, I wish for money, and it'll be like, bite me, you lose money, you know, that kind of thing. So it really depends. It's a fickle beast, but it's really fun for gameplay. It's really fun for chaotic gameplay if you're trying to do sort of a let the chips fall where they may kind of playthrough. Little Simsy on YouTube is kind of known for that in her legacy challenges, for example. So if you like that sort of like, you know, you might kill a sim today, or you might gain a sim today, or maybe your sim gets abducted by aliens and struck by lightning today, like random, really fun, chaotic gameplay. That's what a lot of her legacy challenges and stuff are. A lot of her challenges kind of end up like that. She's very let the chips fall where they may. She uses the wishing well a lot. And I was actually watching one of her videos when she was using the wishing well, and I was like, that would be really cute in my witch's cottage, which is how it ended up in the outside. Here is the ever-present struggle for how do I make this house look cute and old but not imposing. This is a really good indicator of how unfamiliar I really am with this build style. I was using a lot of reference photos, but I also just don't think this is incredibly realistic, but I also don't think it really matters that much in The Sims. I know I harp on that a lot, and I'll be like, well, I didn't feel like this was realistic, and in a lot of cases, I didn't feel like it was realistic. But, you know, it's The Sims. There's things you just don't have to worry about. I personally prefer more realistic gameplay, I'll be honest with you. I'm a fan of, like, for the most part, the, like, maybe this is, you know, how real life would work, but when I'm playing with a cult, it all goes out the window. And our spellcasters are not called witches. Our spellcasters are very much in a cult and very much like, well, the rules of physics go out the window, so oh well. Here I am, I think you just saw me like messing around with the attic and stuff, trying to make it work. I also at one point thought about making the attic extend all the way across. That is totally something you could do. That roof is the same height, I believe, all the way across. You probably couldn't have a window really easily on that side because I have the, what is that called? Chimney. Words have been hard today, dude. I do have windows there, but I don't think they would actually be in the room. I'd have to look. Maybe they would be in the room and it would be fine. You could extend the attic all the way across. I don't think you could probably get multiple rooms out of it because it's very skinny. I think it's only 3 wide or maybe 4 wide. So you'd either have like super tiny rooms in a really skinny hallway, or more than likely a series of rooms, which would be kind of weird. I guess you could put an ensuite in there. That would be kind of fun, maybe have like an ensuite. But then I don't really know how you would get the bathroom up there, because although to be fair, how would you get the bed up there? Although the bed I picked is kind of logs, so like maybe she just brought them up one by one. I don't know. Again, maybe we just step away from the realism on this one. You could have an ensuite upstairs, which would be really nice, especially if you're going to bump this house out and like maybe add a bedroom, which you totally could downstairs. There are plenty of places where you could tighten things up. And add a bedroom. And so like if you were gonna have kids or something, maybe an ensuite upstairs would be nice. I would also maybe suggest stairs, like if you're gonna do that. I actually went with the trellis. Hear me out. I know it's weird inside, but we were going with such a plant vibe that I was like, well, what if she just used the vines she grew to get upstairs, and that's how she uses the attic? I thought that seemed like kind of a cool idea. I like it. Again, we're stepping away from my usual style of like, well, but you know, taxes on this and all of that. Didn't matter in this build. We're not going to talk about it. I've kind of, I've done that a few times lately where like, I had to stop for a minute and be like, well, how would this get up here? And then it's like, well, we're just not going to talk about it. The brick on this house almost killed me. I'm not going to lie to you. I went through several different kinds of brick, and in fact, I think it even changes 2 or 3 more times after we start furnishing. Maybe I cut that out. Maybe I ended up going back. I can't remember. I didn't want gray. You guys know me and my opinions on gray, but more so, I just wanted it to be really happy. I wanted a little stone house, but I didn't want it to be like dreary. I wasn't going, and I didn't want it to be scary. I really wanted to avoid the like, this is the spooky witch's cottage. I wanted it to be cozy, but sort of in that like, I've just been left alone to mess with my own thing. My friends regularly refer to me as, a farm witch, because I have sort of that like, I'll just take a plant in and, you know, it'll live on my dining room table for a while until it's healthy again kind of vibe. I'm not like super talented with plants, so it's kind of a crapshoot whether or not it's gonna live. But like, I'm very much the like, I'll have a chicken in the house for a minute until it's healthy kind of thing. And I guess I give off somewhat chaotic vibes. And so they always refer to me as like the farm witch. And the running joke is that the kids in the area are eventually gonna find out, like, they're gonna grow up with me living here, and eventually it's gonna be a situation where it's like they sort of fear me, but more they just know I'm a place to come and like is a safe place. And I'm honestly kind of excited about that idea. I'm like, that's kind of a neat idea, frankly. I like the idea of like being the neighborhood safe space. But also just like a little bit creepy, so people predominantly leave me alone until they need my attention. Great for me. This kitchen also kicked it off. This single fridge here, this beautiful green color, this absolutely magical green color, has like, it has inspired so many builds that you've probably already seen, including the Christmas build. I don't know why I've never seen that swatch before, but my goodness, is it the prettiest green I have ever seen. I wish more things were that green in this game. It's so pretty. Honestly, green is such an appreciated color in this game. We have a fair few greens, but none of them match, and they're all incredibly blue. And there's nothing wrong with that, except for justice for your yellow-toned greens, please. Justice for your yellow-toned greens, justice for your sort of muddy greens. Love those, like your sages, your armies, you know, those kind of greens. And for the love of all that is good and holy, justice for your yellows. Can we have a non-neon yellow, please? I would love a non-neon yellow. We have like one butter yellow swatch wallpaper, and it's beautiful, but it's even kind of bright. Like, yellow is such a beautiful color. And we've got some newer yellows in some furniture and stuff that's really nice. But justice for base game yellow, man. Justice for base game pink. Just maybe just justice for base game. There you go. Justice for base game. Yeah, here we go with the brick. I originally was wanting the brick to match on the inside and the outside. And then I was like, after fighting with it for so long, I was like, I think it's okay if she paints the brick. Which I know. Okay. Let me be so clear. I am aware that is somewhat sacrilegious and blasphemous, and some of you are like pearl clutching right now. I agree, kind of. I do not love painting brick in real life. Mostly just because it's an incredibly destructive act. In The Sims, I do not care. I actually don't mind the look of painted brick. And in real life, I definitely think there's scenarios where it works better. Sorry about that. I just bumped my desk. I hope that wasn't too loud for you. But it's a very destructive act in real life. It's a very hard act to rectify if you don't like it. So it's people who sort of willy-nilly paint brick always worry me, because I'm like, did you test this? Because sometimes it's not even reversible. Sometimes it's just like, well, that brick is funky now. It's just always going to be funky. And like, that's totally fine. Here's the thing. It's your house, you know? Although I am one of those kind of stuck-up snobby people where I'm like, if you want to buy an old house and update it, but still honor the fact that it's an old house, that's great. The thing that kind of kills me is I don't love the trend of buying an old house and then like early 2000s like grazing it really badly. I recognize that sometimes that has to happen because of where you live and the availability of homes. And I'm not trying to say like, you know, again, it's your house, you do what you want. But I do sort of love, like, if you want a new build, please just go buy a new build. You know, most of the time older homes are more expensive, at least where I live. Any home with character, significantly more expensive than the newer houses they're putting up. And so I'm always just like, man, you know, maybe don't knock down that really pretty craftsman style just because you know, decided you wanted it to be really like postmodern. Where I used to live, there was a little area with a lot of really pretty, gorgeous craftsman homes, and a developer came in and bought every single one of them and like facelifted them so it was still the original home, but turned them all into gray cubes. I'm not even joking with you. Like, the roof lines were different. It was rough, dude. And I was like, I'm almost certain you spent more money turning them into gray cubes than you would have if you had just like loved them a little bit. And I'm almost certain you would have made more money because you know, in the like decade that I lived there after they did them, they never filled all of those houses. Not to say new houses aren't cute. I love me a good suburban. think they're really pretty. I just think they're a vastly different style, you know? And you should maybe try to find something that you love instead of... Also, it's like less expensive that way. Like, to be honest with you, it's way less expensive to just find a house that has the bones you want. You're gonna spend so much more money trying to change something. Not that you can't, but just like, dude, you're gonna spend so much money. Like, my pretty 1945 farmhouse here, I wouldn't change. But if I wanted to change, I would spend so much money because everything would have to be changed down here. I'd have to change the plaster. I'd have to change the flooring. I'd have to have the whole dang thing leveled because, can we, I think I've ranted about this before. Here's a fun fact for those of you who are thinking about buying an old house and how fun it is. It is a lot of fun. You have got to get used to the fact that nothing in your house is going to be level. Nothing in your house is going to be true. Nothing in your house is going to be standard sized. And what I mean by that, nothing is going to be level ever. I could put a marble on any surface in this house and it will roll. In fact, I'm being really careful right now leaning on my desk talking to you because if I lean too hard on this desk, it will tip. It's on risers. It's been stabilized. I have cardboard shoved under the leg. It'll still tip. I don't know. The other, what I mean by true, is that nothing in this house is at a right angle. Not a darn thing. And nothing makes sense. Not like, we tried to hang shelves not too long ago. And just like trying to measure out the studs, I was like, nothing is true. Nothing is like at a right angle. And the really fun thing in this house, for some reason, the first step of every staircase, we have 3. We have the basement stairs, we have the front steps on the porch, and the back steps on the back porch. The first step on each and every one of those steps is 1.5 inches taller than the rest of them, which means no matter how long you've lived here, if you are not paying attention, you will trip up the first step. Also, on all 3 steps, the top step is like 1/2 inch shorter. It's really hard to bring in groceries. I love it. Don't get me wrong. It's a lovely house. I'm very, very pleased with this house. But just fair warning, if you're thinking you want to have like a this old house moment, be prepared. Nothing in your life will ever have a right angle ever again. Ever. And you can never ever just set a marble down. Not that that's like a common use case, but think about like the wrapping paper. The wrapping paper will walk away from you. Wampum biscuits, you know, the ones in the tin where you peel the paper and then you whomp them on the counter. Those will roll away from you. Just fair warning. Fair warning. Dog kibble everywhere, always, you know. I went a little, this is where I started going a little bit crazy with the plants. Although, honestly, it was the, what do you call it? The, like, valance of plants that started it. That's where I kind of went, ooh, what if she puts plants everywhere? This I'm really proud of. This turned out so cute. So this is actually a wardrobe, and I did try to hide the wardrobe part a little bit. Middling success. I ended up ultimately just kind of deciding it was fine because it doesn't really scream wardrobe with all the other stuff in it. It's okay, but I really love the way it looked. It fit really nicely there, and I liked the little like wooden top bit. The like they're drawers, but they're called oh, they have a name. The baskets, the buckets, the you know, those things up there. I really liked the way those looked. I thought it looked very homemade. Oh, here, I was trying to cover it. I can't remember if I'm actually successful with that or not. I think not, but I honestly can't remember. I was just trying to make it look less like a wardrobe, which, looking at it now, the benefit of time, I'm like, it doesn't look like a wardrobe even with that there. But I was adamant it needed to be covered, and I apparently put, like, a bookshelf there. That's a choice I made. That's cool. Looks great. Good job past Amanda, I guess. And here I am just cluttering. When you see me put multiples of stuff like that, it's just because even with move objects on, things will snap obviously to their item places when they have something somewhere that will fit. So sometimes just putting enough of those in there that it fills the item slots will allow you to then place the thing where you want to place them. This was such a disappointment. I don't remember how I fixed this. I really wish those shadows would fix better. I was trying really hard to figure out if there was a way that I could like make it look like an intentional piece or like a focal point, or like the window needed to be reinforced or something. And the long and the short of it was all I did was make it worse. That those shadows are crazy. They fought me, so it is what it is. There's just vines in your sink, and it's just a thing. I think that sink, yeah, I was gonna say that sink needed to be fixed. It broke a couple of times. I should remember to catch it before the gallery, but if I don't, you just have to like wiggle it. It's kind of like the doors and the windows. I don't really know what that is. It's like, it's a weird texture thing, but the word I was looking for was like a facing texture thing. It's fine. Words are hard. I totally didn't think about the fact until later on, like right now, that you could put little things on top of the fridge, not on the fridge, on the stove, and I was so excited. That is so cute. I loved it so much. I was so pleased that I got to put all these things up here, put some potions and doodads. I know those are technically like perfumes. I do that a lot in kitchens though, because we don't have a lot of like pantry type clutter. So sometimes I use the perfume bottles to look like sauces and things. And honestly, in a witch's cabin, it makes sense. But just in general, I do that too. It's like they're bottles. It's whatever. And some people actually put bottles and things in their kitchen. My mom used to be a collector of milk glass, which if you don't know what that is, you should totally Google it. It's really pretty. Just like this like dimpled, soft white matte milky glass. It's really pretty. And so we have some of that in our kitchen, like up on the top of the shelves, because our shelves don't go to the ceiling. And also a lot of teapots. I don't know where that came from. My mom didn't really collect teapots, but I think it must be like a teacher thing. People always brought her teapots, and she has some beautiful ones, and some really like special ones that people brought her from like overseas and stuff. But like, I remember distinctly having a conversation with my mom when I was like 12, where she was like, I was like, do you like tea? And she was like, no. And I was like, why do you have so many teapots then? And she was like, because people think I need teapots. And I was like, okay. And she was like, and I appreciate them because they're given with love. And I was like, but if you don't make tea? And she was like, sometimes it's more the fact that someone thought you would engage in a hobby and give you the thing for the hobby than whether or not you actually engage in the hobby. And that stuck with me anyway, but also it made me laugh that now we're like 30 years on from like when she started teaching, and she has a ton of teapots. They're really pretty, dude. And we keep them all because they're all very special. My favorite one is the Henry VIII one. It has all of his wives on there. It's a choice. It cracks me up a little bit. And here I'm just adding some art, going back to the build. I have that sitting on the counter, just kind of in this cute little like collection of things. Here's where I start working on the this is like the little office-y type space. I thought it made sense with the bookshelves nearby. I bumped my desk again. Sorry about that. My feet don't touch the ground in the chair that I currently have because I'm still sitting in a dining chair. So I sit cross-legged, but then sometimes my feet fall asleep while we're talking, and then I wiggle, and then I bump the mic, and I'm very sorry about that. More information than you needed, but you know, if you've ever wondered why it seems like I wiggle a lot during these and you can hear me bumping the desk, that's why. Here I am playtesting a little bit here. I'm trying to make sure my playtester sim is an alien, and I can't remember his name, but the poor guy he just lives on the slot, and then anytime I build on the slot, he becomes my tester sim, and I feel absolutely terrible, because I think he's a child of the island, so I really should move him. I just picked him out of the gallery. I always end up just picking the townies, and just throwing them on the lot I need. So there is a little bit of roof clipping with this room, so it's not ideal. I don't really know how to fix it, but it's just a bedroom, so it's got a bed and a dresser and a mirror. Your sim probably isn't going to spend a ton of time up here, and it's really cute, so it's like worth, but unfortunately for gameplay there is a little bit of roof clipping, which is deeply unfortunate. One of those things where I was just like, is this the hill I'm going to die on today? No, I don't think so. This isn't the hill I'm going to die on today. I have many hills. I cannot protect them all. And in this case, I was like, I have fought with this roof. I cried over this roof, which I will admit had very little to do with the roof and more to do with I was stressed. But like, there's a reason it's the straw that broke the camel's back, right? Like, it wasn't that singular straw. A single piece of straw does not weigh that much, but it was the thing. And so I was like, after I got it to like mostly work, I was like, I'm never touching that roof again. Don't care. And my brother came in and he was like, well, what if you just, and I was like, shh, no, love you. Don't want to hear it. Not doing it. So we do have a computer in this house, which is like admittedly super weird, but let's be totally honest here. It's The Sims, and a computer is infinitely helpful. Unfortunately, very much like real life, we have developed a deep reliance on computers in The Sims, at least in The Sims 4 here. And so I did put one in. I put the typewriter one in. So it's technically a tablet in a stand. She's a modern witch. She's what's that TV show from the 60s? Bewitched. She was, trying to be like a modern housewife. It's kind of that vibe. Like your girl needs a cell phone. Your girl needs a tablet. And especially if you're gonna try to do like where because there's a garden outside. Like if you grow your own crops or work from home or something like that. you're realistically gonna need to like access Plopsy and things like that, and it's helpful to have a computer. It's also really helpful to have a computer for things like writing skill, and there's a lot of different interactions for career gain. I was trying to think, like the teaching one has like fill out student grades or something like that. There's a lot of reasons to have a computer, and a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just put a laptop somewhere in the house, and then the idea is that you would stick that in your Sims inventory. Like in this house, if this was a more modern house, I would probably stick it just on that peninsula, and then one of those would just be the office. I do that a lot in apartments, because at least one of the laptops is live draggable, which means in live mode you can grab it and put it like in your Sims inventory or put it on a different surface. And so I will often do that with the idea that that laptop's not there permanently. Like, it'll move. Obviously the desktops are more permanent, and I think this one that I used in here on the desk is permanent, which is kind of silly because it's a tablet in a stand, but it's a tablet in a stand. So like I believe it has to stay. I don't believe it's live draggable. Now that I've said that, no, I don't believe it's draggable. This was another bone of contention. This was another one where I left it for like a week. I could not figure out what to do with this fence because I wanted a stone fence, but I wasn't happy with the stone fence. And I can't even tell you why I wasn't happy with the stone fence, but it wasn't jiving. But I couldn't find a stone fence that I liked because there's really not that many in the game. And so I agonized for like a while. It doesn't look like that long, but yeah. That fence was actually like a mood ruiner. This whole build was like emotional. And then I went to town with I believe this is like, oh, it's escaped me. What is that called? That like pretty like growing crawling plant that I just put up there. I was gonna call it wisteria and immediately went, I don't think that's right, and I don't think that's right. But I went a little bit crazy. Now it is kind of funny because the bushes are looking a little rough. The trees are colors. The flowers are all starting to look a little bit dead. It'll be a lot more vibrant in like the spring or summertime, but because I built this in the fall, because originally this was going to be my Halloween build, she says in January, and you're going to be seeing this like mid-January. Good night, Martha. Originally this was supposed to be my Halloween build, so it was supposed to look not spooky, but like fallish and like a little spookier maybe, you know. That was the idea behind like the witch's hut. Yeah, fancy that. I also, like I said, I had a totally different plan. So you might see another witch's hut or just like another cute like fall cottage at some point, because I still want to try to attempt the thing that is in my head. It's not wholly different from this, but there were things like a window seat and multiple bedrooms, so it needs to be bigger. So I think it's maybe more country estate that I'm imagining, but that feels like a task. And I'm not anti-task, but I am sort of like in need of some smaller builds right now to like build myself up a buffer such that I can take on a longer build. Like I try to do that for myself, again, because I'm a very slow builder, referenced by the fact that I started this whole research and development phase of this build in freaking August. I'm not gonna let it go. Anyways, because I am a slow builder, what I try to do is I try to vary the size of the builds that I'm doing so that I can build like a couple of small builds or maybe like a room, get myself enough of a buffer content-wise that I don't leave you guys in a drought, and then that gives me a little bit of space to do a longer one. I've been itching to do some long ones again. I have a couple of mansion ideas. I've been really wanting to do another Second Empire build. I haven't done one since like 2022 maybe. I think it was even 2021. And I love that build. And I recently pulled it down from the gallery to use for a personal family. And I was like, oh, I want to do this again, but do this differently. And like, we have so many new tools now. We've had so many packs come out. I was like, I really want to do this again. So I've kind of been chewing on the idea of another Second Empire build, not redoing the one we have. Although that would be a really fun renovation. I've also thought about doing that. I've talked about this. I think I talked about it last week, actually. How I have a few builds that I've either done personally or that I did at the beginning of the channel that we've just got so much more content now. You know, it's been several years, which I can't believe I'm saying. But like the Book and Bean, for one, is one I think about redoing a lot or just renovating. So I've been thinking about doing an occasional renovations in here along with like new builds. So being like, here's an old build that I did, here's how I'd fix it now. I actually kind of think there's one maybe gonna be coming up, if not the next video, the video after, just because I really kind of want to jump on that idea and try it. So here's the screenshots. I think it looks absolutely adorable. I think it looks like something out of a Disney Pixar film. And I've been talking your ear off for like a half hour, so I think I'm just going to leave you to it here with the screenshots. But I hope you're having a great day and you're feeling loved. And if you're not feeling loved, please know that I love you. I'm glad you're here hanging out. You make the world a better place. And if you don't believe it, just know that I keep building these crazy builds and crying over roofs and working really, really hard just because I want to make something amazing for you to enjoy. That's how important you are to me. I love you so much that I cry over Sims roofs. I care about you that much. You're that important. So stick around, please. And I will see you next for a Minecraft, I believe. And then after that, another speed build. I have no idea what that speed build is yet, so it'll be just as much of a surprise for you as it is for me. And I will talk to you soon. Okay, love you. Bye. Mwah.